All right, so if you're a longtime ZASLOW Show listener, you know that our pal is Nick Kostos. Okay, you bet, and used to join us every week for several years, man. So making his debut here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. How about this, Nick? We could see each other now. Look at you. You're looking very handsome. You got your Yankees cap on. How about that? This is a pleasure, right? How you doing?
It's good to be on with you, brother. Yeah, miss going on with you on every Wednesday. So good to be on with you now with your new show. And I love the ZASLOW Show 2.0. You've always got some kind of like wrestling innuendo with the stuff that you do. So love that. Like Matt Hardy V 2.0. Whenever you start the show, you need like a little thing to come up on the video with like the ZASLOW facts, like the old like Matt Hardy facts for 2.0.
I got to tell you, I loved Matt Hardy version 2.0. He used to come to the ring. Who was it with Shannon Helms? What was his name? Shannon... the little guy who used to copy him.
Yes, yeah. Who was on a tag team with Helms in WCW?
Yeah,
Shannon
Moore. Yeah, I used to love Matt Hardy version 2.0. And you're right, they used to put the graphics on the side of the screen, which they do for everybody now. But back then, that was like innovative. That was when our only internet was AOL chat rooms. That you would have those.
I remember the AOL chat rooms back then. I used to go in AOL chat rooms, like NFL chat rooms, and be like, who's the best quarterback in the NFL? 1 for Dan Marino, 2 for Steve Young. Like it was 3 for Brett Favre.
Oh man, kids don't know about that. It's so easy communicating now. You don't know about those AOL chat rooms. I still rock an AOL email address, by the way. I'm loyal. That means I'm loyal.
My fiance and I yesterday, so on Tuesday, went to we're getting married in June.
Yes.
We're getting married in a Catholic church. I went to see a deacon at this church before, to start the process and everything. And the deacon literally said, he's like, "What are your email addresses?" I have a Gmail address. He's like, I feel like us old timers are still the only ones with AOL email addresses. So guess you're an old timer now.
That's right. Me and my wife. That's why we're so compatible. We both have our old AOL email addresses that we still use. It's good to see you, man. It's good to have you on the show again. I've missed doing these spots with you. So, hey, so before we get to the lines for this weekend, Super Wildcard was pretty great. I mean, Monday night, Monday night felt like we were leading up to the main event, Cowboys against Tom Brady. And that was the worst game of the weekend because at least the Niners and Seahawks was a good game at halftime. Seahawks were winning that game. Every other game, this was a great weekend of football, Nick.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was magnificent. And even the Cowboys, well, I bet the Cowboys. So like it was a really fun 3 hours for me. But even that had the subtext of are we watching the end of Tom Brady? At the very least, the end of Tom Brady's run with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you still had, with all the Maher missed extra points, you still had it. And I bet Dallas. And I had people tweeting me, game's over. Dallas is definitely going to win. I'm like, have you ever watched Tom Brady play football before? Have you ever bet against or on Tom Brady? Have you ever seen Tom Brady versus the Dan Quinn defense in a playoff game before? It's never over. So I still had that feeling of dread throughout the game until Dallas scored to go up by, I think it was at that point was 31-0. And at that point, or 31-6 or whatever. Yeah, and at that point, the game was done. But yeah, it was a really, really great weekend. Even the 2 quarterback games that we thought were projected to be blowouts, the Dolphins and the Bills and the Bengals and the Ravens, both were great games. And I don't know that Miami should have won, but they could have. And I think Baltimore actually should have won. And then the Giants-Vikings game was great. Chargers-Jaguars, an instant classic. And like you said, even the Niners-Seahawks game was entertaining until about basically the fourth quarter was the only non-competitive quarter.
What did you make of the Dolphin game?
I was a little down on Mike McDaniel the final however many weeks of the regular season. I had tweeted, and this is not even just not saying this is what I would have done. I thought that if they had finished 8-9, I thought there was a chance that Stephen Ross at 82 would have tried to do what he had to do to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Already tried to do it once. I felt if they go 8-9 and miss the playoffs, Tua obviously dealing with the concussions. And I know the Dolphins organization is saying the right things. So what did Chris Greer say? No one player is more likely than another to get a concussion. And then the reports came out this weekend that Tua is going to be back as the quarterback next year. That's all well and good to say that. Also, the Miami Dolphins are committing organizational malpractice if Tua Tagovailoa enters the year as the unquestioned starter. You can't have that. You just can't. Now, I'm not saying they don't even have a first round pick anyway, but it's I'm not suggesting go out and sign Aaron Rodgers. That's not the point that I'm making here. If Rodgers were to leave Miami, but you have to get someone else there. It can't just be Tua, because if he gets concussed again, his career's over. It's done. So I don't really buy what the Dolphins are selling from that regard. So I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch, because they can say what they want. And then you cannot go into the year and Tua Tagovailoa has the keys to the car for 17 games. Like, you just can't have it. But I exited the year kind of super impressed with Mike McDaniel. I mean, he put them in a position on Sunday where if the Bills made mistakes, they could win the game. They were never going to win a game that Buffalo didn't make mistakes in. Like, it was never going to happen no matter what he did with Skylar Thompson starting. I thought he coached a brilliant game on Sunday, and that would have me enthused moving forward as a Dolphins fan. Like, you still got the two weapons with Hill and Waddle. I'm still kind of a little bullish on Miami moving forward here with McDaniel, but you cannot. It's unfortunate. You cannot trust Tua to be the guy. You got to get someone else, at least like that you feel good about as the backup, not Teddy Bridgewater.
Nick, Lamar Jackson's done in Baltimore, right?
Probably. Well, I mean, money talks. So if they decide like they want to give him that guaranteed, like the big guaranteed deal, I think he could probably stay. But it's just as much like the problem with Lamar is it's not so much a football conversation as it is like an economic situation. Like, he wants the Deshaun Watson deal, and owners were pissed, obviously, at Jimmy Haslam and the Browns for giving Watson all that guaranteed money. And then, like, the early returns, and like, I think Watson's going to be fine on field. The early returns are not great on it. So I think there's a case to be made that that the owners will basically stand up and say, like, we're not doing this. Like, that was the outlier was what the Browns did with Deshaun Watson. If I had to guess, I think he's more likely done in Baltimore than not. But again, money talks. And look at the construction of the team. It's going to take them more than one offseason if they want to build a type. They have zigged while the rest of the NFL is zagged, right? So it's not going to be one offseason where they're able to get like an actual NFL offense in place. And I don't mean that to be insulting to what they're doing with Lamar. He's such a singular talent, but they have no wide receivers. Like, it's not a team that's built to win necessarily in today's NFL unless you have that type of singular trigger man like Lamar Jackson. So I think it's more likely than not he's gone. I think it's far from a lock, though, because I think Baltimore is basically punting 2023 if Lamar's not the quarterback.
Which of these three franchise quarterbacks is most likely to be on his current team next year? Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady?
Brady, 0% Tampa. So it's one of the other two. I'll say Rodgers with Green Bay. I'll say Rodgers is the most likely. Tom Brady, nothing's 0%. As close to 0% as you could get.
But is it 0 that he's going to play or 0 that he'll be with Tampa?
0 that he's with Tampa. In my opinion, I think no chance. If you're Tom Brady, you want to go back to play for Todd Bowles? That's what you want to do? Yeah. After the game, he's thanking the Bucs media, like, "Oh, you did such a great job making me feel welcome." He was like, people are like, "Oh, it's Brady's retiring." It wasn't a goodbye to the NFL. It was a goodbye to Tampa.
No, you see, that's interesting that's interesting that you took it that way, because I took it as I had a really tough personal year and you guys were really respectful of me.
I took it to be like, I'm not coming back here next year. Thank you for
I can see that.
treated me.
Yeah. I could see that. Yo, you must be so excited about the Giants. Like, I know that it doesn't count for the award because it's a regular season award, but holy shit, man, Brian Daboll, coach of the year, right?
Yeah, well, I think he's the coach. I mean, I don't know that he's going to win, but just because, you never know how voters are going to vote, and Shanahan's a great candidate and Sirianni's a great candidate. So it's like there's a lot of like good nominees. Yeah. It's really awesome. I absolutely loved it. And I don't want to like wax on about this, but when you're in the media for so long, especially like doing sports betting, and I worked in the NFL media for a long time at SiriusXM NFL Radio, you get to know people in the league, and like, especially when you're betting on games all the time, like your fandom erodes a little bit. And the Giants were always my favorite team growing up. And I was curious, watching this playoff game this weekend, was it going to be the old fan feeling? And I didn't really have it up until the fourth quarter. And then the fourth quarter of the game, I felt like I was like 14 years old again. And it was really great. It was really exceptional. And what I'll say about Daboll, and this is like, just speaks to my narcissism. I love Brian Daboll because he basically confirms what I believe to be my own genius when it comes to the NFL, which is whenever there's a decision to be made, in my head, I'm thinking this is what they should do. He does it. And it works every single time. So it's total arrogance on my part, but like here, fourth and 1 from like their own 40, like, of course you sneak it with 6'6" burly Daniel Jones. Of course you don't punt like Joe Judge would do.
Meaning,
like
or you don't pick up a delay a game like Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, but like, I'm willing to give McDaniel the benefit of the doubt there, because like, I think generally he makes pretty good, like in-game decisions.
Nick, I was so like, I was back to when I was 20 years old again, and I had this visceral, angry reaction to that 4th and 1 delay a game. I got up off the couch. I screamed at the television.
Yeah, I don't blame
and
you.
I had to, and I don't do that with the Dolphins anymore. I haven't done that in half my life. And I had to walk out of the room to calm down. I was so angry.
Yeah, that's pretty probably like a pretty great feeling. Like even in retrospect, to be like, it was great to get that emotionally invested in.
You're
something.
right. And that's what I was saying in the middle of this year with the Dolphins after the 49ers game when the 5-game win streak was snapped. And I was like, you should be angry and you should feel really good about being angry because we haven't had to be angry about Dolphin losses in so long.
Yeah, certainly. So I love Daboll's decision making. I said this on You Better You Bet on Monday. I think we actually kind of collectively need to stop with this whole, and like Daboll's great. And like, I love him. And I think I'm so happy he's the coach of my favorite team. I think we need to stop with the narrative that like the Giants are not talented and that he's just basically doing this with smoke and mirrors. Like the team is good. Like the Giants are good. Daniel Jones is good. I can't believe I'm saying that and that it's true, but it is. And like, I'll take the L on that because I thought he was bad. The offensive line's playing well. The 3 wide receivers are not household names. Also, they're good. Hodgins is good. Slayton's good. Richie James is good. Like these are not like bad players and Daboll's like waving a magic wand and they're like in the final 4 of the NFC. Like they're good. The defense is good and is supremely well coached. I am not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm getting like slight 2007 vibes from this team. Now we could talk about like the point spread of the game on Saturday.
So let's do it. Yeah. Giants Eagles, man. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, impossible game to predict until we have some more information, which we may never get. So just a point spread conversation like we used to have on the show ZASLOW. The spread's 7.5. In no universe should the point spread of this game be less than 10. It's a big jump up from 7.5 to 10. So we kind of talked this out on the air on Monday. Like, okay, like what are the reasons why this point spread could be this? And the only thing that makes sense is pessimism about Jalen Hurts' health. That's it. I understand that he practiced in full yesterday. He's not on the injury report. Also, the line didn't move at all. So maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is just like bettors with influence. This is not like, oh, like Vegas knows and like the public's going to move. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. We've talked about that, right? Doesn't matter at all. This is bettors with influence that bet tons of money and are respected will move markets. This market hasn't moved at all. So Hurts practiced yesterday in full. The market didn't move. Now, maybe come Monday, I will get on You Better You Bet and be like, we were wrong about our now. I do not think we're wrong. So these two teams played maybe like, I don't know, 2 months ago, something like, I forget which week it was exactly, at MetLife, at the Giants. The Eagles closed 7.5 in the game. The implication there is that Philly is about 8.5 points better on a neutral at that point. Then I give Philly about 2 points for home field. Philly's coming off a bye, and it's a playoff game. So all of that built in, we should be at like 11.5 here. So let's say since then, you want to upgrade the Giants, right? Let's say you want to upgrade them 2 points, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe we get this to 9.5, right? Maybe the point spread gets to 9.5, which is close to 10. Now it's 7.5. We're close to 7, right? So to me, this is pessimism about Jalen Hurts' health. He's practicing in full, which means we are not going to know until the game starts, which I think makes it really hard to bet. I think that if people out there, if you like the Giants, bet the Giants to win the game. Just bet them on the money line, because if Hurts isn't good in this game, if he's not healthy, the Giants are going to win. And I know a lot of people will talk about ZASLOW teasing the Eagles
right
down to -1.5. It is a terrible idea because you don't know if the quarterback is good in the game. And if you tease Philly to 1.5 and they lose, you are paying for that teaser. Do not do that.
So talking about teasers, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are thinking, all right, let's tease the Eagles, which you're advising against, but let's tease the Eagles with the Chiefs. Jaguars, Chiefs, I think it's 8.5 right now. What do we think?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs in the game. It's a lot of healthy respect for Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been great. This is not to say like Jacksonville sucks. Good on them. Peterson's great. Lawrence is great. Whatever. These two teams played back on November 13th. The Chiefs closed a 10-point favorite in the game. The Chiefs won by 10. They won 27-17. Raced out to a big lead. The Jaguars did the thing that they always do, right? Where Trevor Lawrence starts cooking and eventually like lose by 10. Chiefs also negative turnover differential. They outgained Jacksonville by 200 yards. I think this is a bad matchup here for Jacksonville in this game. I do like the Chiefs as a teaser. Like, I just don't know what you want to pair it with.
Right.
Maybe like leave it open and like do something like moving forward in the NFL playoffs. I would not tease the Eagles. I like Kansas City a little bit in the game. My problem is that the point spread is just right. It's fine. if Kansas City was 10 in that game, and Kansas City is not getting upgraded or downgraded because they've been rated the same basically the entire year, then Jacksonville like has to be upgraded a little bit, right? Because of what they've done down the stretch. They're 7-1 since that game. Yeah. Like they've been really good. So should it ever be 7, the point spread? Never, right? Kansas City gets bet immediately. So in between like 7.5 and 9.5, I think is fair, is right. So the point spread's right. What's my opinion is that I think Kansas City's more likely to win by 10 than Jacksonville is to keep the game close. But my preferred bet in the game would be the over. The one thing that I think we can be absolutely certain of in this game, like absolutely certain, Kansas City's going to score. Like the Chiefs are scoring in this game. And then like when Jacksonville gets into comeback mode, Jacksonville's going to score. I like the over in the game.
I like that. I have no idea what's going to happen in Buffalo. Bengals and Bills. That was the scene, obviously, a few weeks ago, Monday Night Football. Well, you got any kind of feeling there?
Yeah, so point spread's 4.5. The point spread is fine. I think some people will see the point spread and be like, oh, wow, it's like too many points. It's Joe Burrow. Since he's going to be without 3 starters on the offensive line, they should have lost last week to Baltimore. I know that like everyone loves the Bengals, and maybe I'm just wrong. Like I say that with you all the time. I think it's like a problem with sports betting content in general is that people act like they're fortune tellers. Like it's all probabilities, right? Like there's definitely a scenario of outcomes where I am incorrect and the Bengals win or Burrow like does what he does and like the game is close at the very end. Just that like the point spread's okay. Buffalo's a lot better than Cincinnati. And again, like this is how I encourage people to think about stuff. So Buffalo played Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. Like you said, the game was obviously canceled and thankfully DeMar Hamlin's doing well. That game closed 2.5. Buffalo a 2.5 point favorite on the road. So again, let's say Cincinnati gets like 1 point for home field, not a great home field advantage. We're at the Buffalo 3.5 on a neutral. Now it's a home playoff game. Buffalo's got a tremendous home field advantage, like 2 points worth, and it's a playoff game. You could make the case that this point spread should actually be 6 or close to it. So it won't be. And like, to be fair, I would bet Cincinnati +6. Like to me, that would be where I would say like, okay, it's gone too far. I think Buffalo's good up until -5.5 in this game. Buffalo is a lot better than Cincinnati. Like these two teams are not close. Like teams are not close. Burrow might be better than Allen. We tell you though,
if they make the mistakes this week, Joe Burrow's taking advantage of what Skylar Thompson couldn't.
Sure. And if the Bills like kind of like piss down their legs, which they are prone to do, Cincy can definitely win the game. So again, this is not me saying like I am right, Buffalo is going to stomp them. Just that I would never bet Cincinnati here. This is a Bills or nothing spot. I do like the over in the game as well. It's kind of chalky, right? Both like high scoring overs. I do like the over here. Like what's the one thing that I feel most confident in? Buffalo scoring in the game. Cincinnati's defense is not great. Buffalo's offense, I think, will be able to rack it up in this game. And then you get Burrow in comeback mode. I think Cincy scores enough to get this over the total. So Buffalo in the over for me in that game.
And finally here, Nick, and you've been very generous with your time. Old school.
This is good practice for me. I do so many of these, as you know. So it's just like I'm getting in the routine now.
Yeah, let's go. This
is verbal muscle memory.
All right. A good old school 90s NFC playoff matchup. Cowboys 49ers. I'm very into this game, Nick.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I was hoping, and we did a segment on You Better You Bet on Monday, where we were kind of looking ahead. Like, okay, if Tampa wins, what do we think the point spread's going to be? San Francisco and Tampa, what would we do in the game? If Dallas wins, what do we think the point spread is going to be in Dallas, San Francisco, and what would we do? And I thought, okay, I think this game will probably be 4 for San Francisco, maybe 4.5. I did not think Dallas was going to, and I bet Dallas in the game. I did not think Dallas was going to look as good as it did in the game, and they did, which was awesome because I won my bet. And now we get 3.5. I was going to bet Dallas at 4. I don't know what I'm going to do now. The point spread is really, really good. And, you know, I've come on with you a lot, and people that have heard me, either with you or just on other shows or on my show, you'll know that like that price matters. And in the regular season, I'll come on sometimes and say, you know, I make the point spread this, and it's this. I actually feel like I have a number edge over the betting market, and I will make a bet. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I feel confident making those bets. In the playoffs, like that is generally not going to happen. Like the spreads are just right. There's so much money being bet into it, and everyone's into it, that the point spreads are usually right. So it largely will turn into bet your opinion. Like, what's your opinion of the game? And that's what you have to bet. And depending on how these games go, it's like flipping a coin sometimes. It's like the dirty little secret here. It's like the Chargers and Jaguars game last weekend. I bet the Chargers, the people that bet the Jaguars after the game are like, oh, Jaguars plus 2.5, green check mark. It's like, what did you accomplish? It'd be like if I victory lapped if the Chargers won the game by 3 or 4 points. It's like, it's so stupid. It's like flip a coin and determine who wins the game. So that's like the dirty little secret of this sometimes, right? Is like flip a coin and this will depend whether you win your bet or not. So it's bet your opinion. The point spread's right. Flip a coin and see what happens in the game. I like Dallas a little bit. I say that with very, very little confidence. At 4, I would be interested in Dallas. San Francisco definitely needs to be more than a 3-point favorite. I think 3.5 is probably perfect. Maybe, honestly, Zaslow, it's a little short, and San Francisco should be a little bit bigger of a favorite. Maybe they should be -4. I like Dallas intuitively. I will likely have a small bet on the Cowboys in this game. I do not mean to present that like it is a supremely confident bet. I like every other bet and thought that I've given you more than the one in that game.
Who is going to win the Royal Rumble?
Oh, man, I'm kind of like I've watched so little WWE.
Oh, it's been so good, Nick. It's been so good.
The only it's very difficult for me.
I know.
For football season to watch. Now I did make the time to watch Kenny Omega against Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom. That's the one wrestling thing that I did watch, which was great. My guess would be, and I don't even know if he's ready, but I guess Cody Rhodes would be.
They announced a few days ago he's back for Royal Rumble.
Oh, he's in the Rumble.
That's what I assume that means. I don't think he's just going to do a promo segment. He's back for the Royal Rumble. Yeah.
Oh, if he's back in the Rumble, I think Cody. Well, maybe not. If they announced him, then maybe he won't win, right?
I hate that they announced it. I wish it could have been a surprise. I hate they.
Well, I think they're kind of telegraphing that he won't win, right? Since they announced him, because now it's gonna they're trying to swerve the audience.
I hope that's what it is. I hope so.
Well, I think that's kind of that would be my guess.
I hope so.
If Cody Rhodes were going to win, why would you announce him as being in? You would want to do
Good point.
Cena in 2008.
Right.
So here's my thought. Maybe, I don't know what their plan is. Is Reigns going to defend the titles on both nights? I don't know.
For WrestleMania.
Yeah. My sense is that Rhodes will not win. I have no idea who would win then. I have no idea. What do you think?
I'm lean. I feel much better about the women. I think Becky Lynch is going to win the Women's Rumble and fight Charlotte for the title at WrestleMania. And
good, a nice fresh matchup. That's awesome.
and I am leaning towards Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble and setting up the Bloodline storyline where, whoa, you think you're coming for this belt? I think that's juicy as hell, man.
Okay, but that's not. But Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn is not like a WrestleMania night.
I know, but Nick, the Sami Zayn is the most over guy in pro wrestling right now. The crowd is so hot for him. It has a little bit of a Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 feel to it, where everyone's behind the underdog.
Now, listen, to be fair, I'm not watching the product on a weekly basis like you are. So you know a lot more than I do about this.
He's got the momentum.
You could be right about this. And then is The Rock coming? Is The Rock fighting at WrestleMania?
I hope so. I don't know.
That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty great.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be pretty great. I'd be into it for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My sense is that it won't be Rhodes if they announced him.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hope you're right. I like that because I hate that they announced him. Nick, tell everybody how they can catch you. Go ahead. Tell everyone how to listen to you in your house.
Yep, you bet. Weekdays 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern, Audacy.com, the Audacy app, YouTube, Twitch, radio stations nationwide as part of the BetQL network. We are also on this week, Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m., and Sunday morning, 11 a.m. to 1, with special playoff shows. And then, obviously, Championship Sunday and Super Bowl Sunday as well, in addition to all the shows on Monday through Friday. Awesome. Great job, Nick. Good catching up with you, man. We'll do it again. Nate, you know what? The week of the Super Bowl, we'll do this again. We'll go over a bunch of props and all that good stuff. Yep. Wishing everybody minimal sweats winning bets. The absolute very best of luck.